World at War is one of the best Call of Duty games of all time. If it's not the greatest, it's at least the best World War II Call of Duty game ever made, which World War II games were COD's bread and butter when the series started. One of the things that made it so great was that you got a different perspective than in other World War II games. As Americans, you fought in the Pacific Theater going up against a ruthless and chaotic enemy. But the even more memorable part of the campaign was playing as the Russians. It was dark and gritty. It had one of the best levels in any Call of Duty game ever. It's where you, playing as Dmitry Petrenko, you have to say it in a Russian accent. It's where Dmitry meets Viktor Reznov among the dead, and they form a bond that can't be broken.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup!
The two of you fight side by side up until the very end of the campaign. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this ending made me feel a little too patriotic to the Soviet Union for my liking.
You can make it, my friend. You always smile. As long as you live, the heart of this army can never be broken.
Things will change, my friend. As heroes, we will return to Russia's embrace.
But after this, the assumption was that Dmitry and Reznov would go home and live happy lives. And that's what we thought for 2 years until Black Ops, which was a game about the Cold War, and it was safe to assume that it wouldn't be related to World at War, but right from the start you hear this.
Wake up. Wake up.
Where am I? Where's Reznov?
So it turns out that the only purpose of World at War was to be a prequel to Black Ops, right? Alright, obviously not. Halfway through the campaign, we get to play what is basically known as the World at War Epilogue. At this point in the campaign, Mason is recounting a conversation that he had with Reznov during their time in Vorkuta. This level is great logically because it adds to the story and makes it better, but emotionally, well, we'll get into that. The central issue in the Black Ops campaign is that you're trying to prevent Dragovich from releasing Nova 6, which was developed by Friedrich Steiner. And in this level, you're part of Dragovich's squadron, and you have to fight the remaining Nazi soldiers to ultimately capture Steiner. With that being said, this is how the level starts.
Vorkuta. Reznov told me at Vorkuta.
What did he say?
Mason, listen to me.
It was a long time ago. Far away.
Dragovich, Steiner, Petrenko, all must die.
But he told me what they did. What kind of men they were. Why they all must die.
My father was a musician in Stalingrad. During the German occupation, the sound of his violin filled the air with magnificent music. Korsakov, Stasov, many of the great nationalist composers. To my countrymen, it was a symbol of hope. To the Germans, it was a symbol of defiance. Even now, his music still haunts me. The Nazis slit his throat while he slept. Collaborating with any Nazi is a betrayal against all of Mother Russia. Dragovich, Krashenko were not troubled by such matters. They look only to advance their own interests and agendas.
Everything is loaded. They are waiting.
Victor, it is time.
Yes, Dmitri. Time to hunt down the last remnants of the fascist Reich.
Nevsky, grab the gear. We are moving out.
In Modern Warfare, you play as Soap.
Right. What the hell kind of name is Soap, eh?
He's the typical Call of Duty silent protagonist, but in Modern Warfare 2, you actually play alongside him during the campaign, and so you get to see what he looks like and what he sounds like.
Roach, this is gonna take some time. Go with Meat and Royce and check out the favela for any signs of Rojas. That's where this guy is headed.
Which we basically get the same thing here, where the roles are reversed.
Well. How the turntables...
And you're no longer playing as Dmitry. From the date here, we can see that the level takes place after the war had officially ended, which begs the question, were the Nazis still fighting it out after the war? The short answer is no. After they surrendered, there were a few units here and there that didn't find out until after Germany had surrendered, or some that even knew about it but decided to give guerrilla warfare a try, but that didn't last long. On the other hand, there was a Japanese soldier that fought all the way up until 1974, and if you're good at math,
2 + 2 is 4, -1, that's 3, quick maths.
You'll realize that that's 29 years after the war had ended. Now you may be asking yourself why.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
His name was Hiro Onoda, who was a Japanese officer stationed in the Philippines that hid in the jungle for nearly 30 years, surviving off of the land.
On Bear Grylls.
When Japan had surrendered in 1945, him and his comrades refused to believe that Japan would ever surrender. They were told multiple times that the war was over, but Hiro wanted to be a hero and kept fighting. Eventually, the soldiers that were with him were either killed or surrendered. Hiro didn't surrender until his commanding officer, Yoshimi Taniguchi, flew all the way to the Philippines to give Hiro the order to surrender directly. Taniguchi was actually working as a bookshop owner at the time, and so Hiro returned a national celebrity and lived until 2014. Back to the level. This level is based off of the idea that the Nazis could have had secret bases in the Arctic where they developed and stored a secret weapon. And that's the exact reason why we're here. We've got to hunt Steiner down because he's the mastermind behind Nova 6 gas, which we'll see it in action later on, unfortunately. From the beginning of the level, we see here that the Soviets launched Operation Olympus at the end of the war. Operation Olympus wasn't real, but it's based on operations at or after the end of the war to try to capture German scientists. The intro also says that Reznov's alias was the Wolf, which is a cool alias, but we never hear that alias in World at War. You then make your way down to meet up with Dragovich and Kravchenko.
Have you not tired of battle, Reznov?
As long as Mother Russia has enemies, I will answer her call.
Put aside your petty rivalry, Kravchenko. Captain Reznov will do as he is told.
And hey, it looks like Reznov was promoted from sergeant to captain. Now Dragovich says that Steiner is to be captured alive, and if anyone violates that rule, they'll be shot. And with that, it's time to board the snow wagon thingy. And then...
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Alright, this is what he really says.
What happened at Stalingrad between you and Dragovich?
When the German occupation began, he and his lapdog, Kravchenko, left my men and I hopelessly outnumbered. Promises of reinforcements were made, but not kept. Dragovich and Kravchenko are opportunists, manipulators. They are not to be trusted, Dmitri.
Needless to say that it wasn't much of a shocker that Kravchenko and Dragovich were destined to betray Reznov. This level is all about Dmitri, which is what makes it such a great epilogue, because he's the character that you played as in the aftermath of the bloodiest battle to ever take place, all the way to the capture of Berlin. And as we saw in World at War, Reznov absolutely loves Dmitri.
It's of all the blood, the bullets, and the dead, I found that an old friend was still very much alive. Dmitri Petrenko. I saw this man cheat death, time after time at the siege of Stalingrad. As long as he lives, the heart of this army cannot be broken. He makes us all proud.
You're making me blush.
And his love has not diminished.
Dmitri Petrenko was one of the bravest men I have ever known. He fought by my side from the siege of Stalingrad to the fall of Berlin. The wounds he sustained, ensuring our victory, should have earned him a hero's welcome to Russia. But Stalin had little need for heroes.
The German must not be harmed. We need Steiner alive. Now move, all of you.
Let's go. It is good to fight by your side once more.
Yes. One final victory. Serves every corner of this camp.
Now that the action started, it's feeling just like World at War, with the same guns, music, and brutality.
Enemy in the window! You are weak!
After this mission, do you think we will go home?
I hope so, Dmitri. I hope so.
This is just too much. A good chunk of this level is fighting Nazis whilst listening to the greatest Soviet hits from World at War. Eventually we find Steiner.
Do not point that weapon at me, Russian dog!
That's Wolf to you, good sir.
You will take me to Dragovich.
As I looked into the German's eyes, I saw the fascist light still burning strong. At that moment, every fiber of my being yearned to put an end to his wretched life.
Now, as you approach the ship, Dmitri notices that Dragovich and Steiner are acting like best friends.
Dragovich and Steiner are talking like old friends. I do not like this, Reznov.
You're no god.
And Kravchenko's over here showing no mercy.
Probably heard we ain't into prisoner taking business. We into killing Nazi business. And cousin, business is a booming.
They are sworn to them.
You make your way through the damaged ship until you reach the gas.
We had found what we were looking for. Nova 6. The German weapon of mass destruction now belonged to Mother Russia. Or so it seemed. Our victory was to be short-lived. Dragovich wanted to see the effects of the poison firsthand. It was also an opportunity to remove a thorn in his side. I had long known of their distrust, what kind of men they were. It was a betrayal I should have foreseen. Dmitri Petrenko was a hero, deserved the hero's death. Instead of giving his life for the glory of the motherland, he died for nothing, like an animal. He should have died in Berlin. As I watched my closest friend die, it became clear we were not the only ones seeking the German weapons.
Since we love Dmitri and it changed the ending that we thought we had, it stings like I'm the one being Nova 6'd. Now Reznov magically has a gun, which you would think that if he was taken captive he wouldn't have a gun, but you use it to lead your comrades off the boat. And if you're able to do it on Veteran with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the timer, you'll get the Lightfoot achievement. You're able to escape the ship, and the last thing that we see is Reznov stuck on the ice. In the campaign, it never explicitly says how Reznov ended up in Vorkuta. We just know that he was eventually captured. What I do know is that under Stalin, people with any kind of power or that posed a risk to Mother Russia were on thin ice. Now, this is the last thing we ever hear Reznov say in the flashback.
Can you trust your leaders to destroy it? Or do you think they will use it? The flag may be different, but the methods are the same. They will use you as they used me. You must decide. Decide what you think is worth fighting for. Dragovich, Kravchenko, Steiner. These men must die.
Both the US and USSR tried to win the Cold War by getting ahead technologically, and so it makes sense that there would be the fear that instead of destroying the gas, the US would try to use it to get the edge over the Soviets. Anytime a Call of Duty level brings back elements of World at War, I'm all for it. I think that they should remaster this game along with other of the classic CODs. Although it's tragic to see what happens to Dmitri and that he doesn't get the hero's reward that he deserved, which again I think is terrible. But this level is a great way to end that storyline with a bang. Thank you for watching. On this channel I make videos about Call of Duty and other games that I love. Until next time.